All right, it's Wednesday. You already know what time it is. It is time for another cup of coffee with your boy Kenny from the Call Up Podcast. We are going over some rumors, some news. I have some guests that are coming on as well. I have Frank. He is the CM Punk guy that we all seen in the crowd. When CM Punk came out, he was really excited to come out and show his love for CM Punk. So I get to speak to him today too. You can ask your questions and comment down below, whoever is watching. We're also going to find out who wins this Johnny Gargano Elite Fan Takeover that we've been searching for a long period of time. I know a couple of people who have been looking for it and couldn't find it, but now you will be able to win it. The contest is over. I will be spinning the wheel later on. And then to end it off, we will have an interview with Justin Credible. And I'm going to bring in my man Frank in right now because he's been patiently waiting. And we want to hear his story as far as like the night of Rampage when CM Punk decided to debut. My man Tyson is in the house right now. He's saying hi, saying, "Hey, Kenny. Hey, Tyson. What's going on? Glad to see you here." And there he is. My man Frank, what's going on, buddy? No. And I had him muted. This is the good thing about live TV. There you go.
Thank you. I was just going to say I did wash the shirt from the show.
So we all seen, before we get into, because I brought you on to talk about the predictions of AEW All Out that is happening this Sunday in Chicago. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the night that CM Punk actually made his debut at Rampage. So you're in the building. It's going crazy. You guys went through a whole hour or two of AEW Dark before actually getting to Rampage. So now you already know CM Punk is about to come out. The lights are somewhat dark. The music hits. What is going through your mind?
Well, actually, what's going through my mind is probably about, I don't know, 2000, was it 2001, 2002? I think probably the only game in town was WWE. It's kind of getting a little soft and stale. Big into the message boards, reading all the rumors and news, started hearing about a promotion called Ring of Honor. This great series of matches between Samoa Joe and CM Punk, 5 stars for the second one, the whole nine. So I figured, all right, let's start getting into and see what this is all about. Ordered the DVDs and just was hooked immediately on the entire product. And as you know, like Punk himself as a character, as a person, is very, very deep. He conveys a lot of emotion. So him along with a lot of the other stars there, I grew pretty good connection to. Growing up in Chicago, they had shows in Chicago Ridge probably every 3-4 months. So it was just going there on and off for years while that whole crew was there. So I think I made a comment on Twitter about this, not the first tear I shed. I think it was that date he mentioned in 2005 when he left Ring of Honor.
Right.
First row in Chicago Ridge, Frontier Fieldhouse. Bouncing Souls came on, and CM Punk came out for his 2 out of 3 falls with Cabana, final match in ROH, official final match. And he came out of that tunnel just eyes balling, and the whole crowd, 1,000, 1,500 people, lost it because, I think when you're a fan of something like that type of product and those people who give so much, you just become so emotionally invested. So, fast forward to, going to the WWE, leaving, retiring, and the comeback, just going on that journey for, close to 20 years, I think was pretty damn incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to catch a lot of CM Punk's run in ROH. Luckily for me, I got to go back and and watch a lot of it. But I mostly known him from when he was with WWE, and then he left, and it was kind of strange when he left because everybody was wondering whether or not he was ever going to come back. Obviously, we seen him do some MMA stuff. And then that didn't last long, and now he's back after 7 years. He's back now in wrestling. He's with AEW. To be honest with you, I didn't think that he really was going to go to AEW, so it was really shocking to me when they said he signed the deal, and we kind of was just all waiting to see was he going to show up. So now he's there. He's there in Chicago. You're in the building. His music hits. Take us back to that day.
I'm gonna cry again. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I think it was the culmination of, especially being in Chicago. He's a Chicago guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not just not, and he's not just a wrestler. He's as a sports fan. He's as you can tell, I'm doing the Chicago versus New York here. You got way more titles than me, but yeah, I mean, it was just a culmination of his. I think it's his love for the city,
Mm-hmm.
and the personality he was within the city, not just as a wrestler, but as a celebrity, as a persona. So I think it was just a culmination, knowing like he's back with, and to me it was, he's back with the people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I think like AEW is, and a lot of these indies are. It's for the people. So to me, that's what really got me going.
Was it a big surprise when you found out that the camera panned to you when you was in this emotional state? Because it was funny to me was it's like, when I seen it, me and my wife, we were sitting in the living room, and my wife is a casual wrestling fan, so she doesn't really know too much about AEW. She doesn't know who CM Punk is, so I had to the only thing she knew was that he had left and now he came back. So she was just like, "How long has he been gone?" I said 7 years. So then, as I'm telling her this, she points to the screen and goes, "Look, the guy's crying." And I was like, it's a very emotional night for everyone. And then she goes and she's like, "Yeah, even the guy, CM Punk, he look like he's about to tear up, and he's jumping into the crowd, he's hugging people."
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, it's a big thing right now for everyone, in the wrestling world, for this guy to come back and make a statement and see what he's gonna do. So the next day, I know your phone probably was like blowing up right there, as far as like people telling you like, "Hey, I've seen you on TV."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I had I went to college in Peoria, Illinois. It's in it's like central Illinois. It's a farmland area for the most part. But I had a lot of close buddies that I went to school with out there. And if you know anything about like the Midwest and that town in particular, it's pretty much like in the center, driving distance between like St. Louis, Quad Cities, Chicago, Milwaukee's not terribly far. So we used to run the circuit in college 20 some years ago, going to all the shows. I had a core group that we'd skip class, and I hope my mom doesn't see this, but but in any event, guys that I had lost touch with for 20 years. And I wake up in the morning groggy a bit, and I see I have a text from a guy I hadn't talked to in probably 15, 18 years. And just the picture and a couple other guys too. And it was definitely, I was completely freaked out at first. I was like, oh crap. What in the world just happened? And I'm like, do I really want to be known as this? But after, I want to say like a day or two, and it was really my friend from college that kind of encouraged me, because I could go over stories, could fill up a whole day of stories of the stuff we used to pull. But he kind of encouraged me to, hey, if someone's reaching out to you, this is something we've loved for years, contact them. And so, it took a few days to kind of get over the freak out, but definitely embraced it.
Yeah, because we've seen a couple of people go online and, obviously, wrestling fans, they had stuff to say. But there were a lot of other people who had positive things to say, and like fighting your behalf, because like none of us knew. First of all, nobody knew who you were. Everybody was trying to get in contact as far as finding out like a Twitter, an Instagram, maybe a Facebook or something like that. And everybody's just like, this guy is just like face of the earth, disappeared. We have no idea where he is. Even Tommy Dreamer was looking for you at one point to give you tickets to Impact.
Yeah.
Have you reached out? Have you and Tommy spoke
Yes.
since then? Okay, great.
Yes. He found me, or I found him. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I only had Facebook at the time, and I ended up
Hmm.
like changing all the settings so no one could tag me because I was like, oh, what the heck am I going to do? So yeah, but no, I got in touch with him. Got in touch with the folks over at AEW, so they've been
Hmm.
really nice. I had a couple emails back and forth. I mean, again, just a dream come true, to be
Right.
honest with you.
I mean, that's great, man. You live in the dream that most of us want to just get that spotlight on TV, and you got that 15 minutes of fame. It's still going, because when I told people that you were coming on here, everybody was just like, how did you find this guy? I was just like, listen, I bumped into him on Twitter one night, and I seen that he was there, and I had to verify that it was him. He said, "Yeah." I was like, "It could be him. It could not be him. I don't know, but I'm gonna have somebody on here."
I think this is the tattoo. And
There
this.
you go.
Not that no one doesn't have the shirt, but I did cut the hair.
Uh-huh.
But no, I honestly, and I wanted to take this time and thank you too, because
Hmm.
I told you before, like I'd never done anything like this before,
Hmm.
and I appreciate you just having me on just to shoot the breeze and talk shop.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I love to do here, is just talk
Yeah,
to like other fans and just get their opinion on things. So it was great to see, like, we still have that emotion,
yeah,
in the wrestling business, to to the talent that we see, especially with the whole COVID thing. It was hard for us to even, there was no fans, and
yeah,
everybody was wrestling to like pretty much like their friends or like a TV screen, the way the Thunderdome was.
yeah,
So for us to get back, and even when a lot of the shows started coming back to having fans, you seen fans, tearing up because they were happy just to be there.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I went. It's funny. I think 2 days after Rampage, we went to a Cubs game,
Hmm.
and they got destroyed as usual. But we went to a Cubs game, and it's just nice to be out in the stands
Yeah.
and just. I mean, I got two kids, a wife, and we went with another couple and their kids, and no one paid attention to the game, but just being out there together and enjoying that was enough. And so I think that was that last Rampage. I think it was the first event I had gone to live since things opened up. So it was. I think that's also pretty special too.
Yeah. I'm going to Rampage on Friday. This is going to be my first wrestling show back since. Oh my god, that's how long it's been. The last
Yep.
wrestling show I went to was Monday Night Raw in New York City. Right before it was the road to WrestleMania.
Okay.
Yeah, that. Oh my god, it's been that long.
Yeah. It's tough. Now you're out in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Okay. I've been out there a few times. I've actually
Hmm.
been to oh gosh. Used to go to a lot of like ECW at the ECW arena in Philly,
Hmm.
but then we would go to was it Hammerstein
Yeah,
for
that's
some
in the Manhattan.
ECW
Yeah, that's not too far away
ROH.
from me.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
love it out there. It's a great place.
Yeah. So, like I said, All Out is this Sunday. I wanted to get your picks and your thoughts on the card that we're gonna see. I'm gonna go in no particular order here, but I will leave the CM Punk for last. We're gonna get your opinion on. We can let you go a little bit longer for that one. But we do have the AEW title on the line. We have Kenny Omega versus Kristen Cage. What do you think of this match, and who do you have?
I mean, obviously everyone wanted Hangman in there,
Yes.
and things outside circumstances prevented it, but you got to give Christian credit. The guy continues to bring it. He continues to impress. I think everyone was, kind of disappointed when it looked like it was going that direction, but I think their minds have changed. That being said, obviously I don't think there's any way Omega doesn't retain.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read a tweet somewhere about Tony Khan mentioning that the end of the pay-per-view is going to be special or something like that.
Oh boy.
I would not be surprised if we see Bryan Danielson close out the pay-per-view and come face to face with Omega.
And that's been the thing for everyone. I was wondering, I was like, when is Daniel Bryan gonna actually show up?
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping he shows up in Queens
Yeah.
for Dynamite, but if he shows up this weekend, it is going to blow the roof off this place. Everyone's gonna be chanting, yes. Uh, I'm just waiting to see what he's going to bring to the table once he like officially joins AEW.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they do that match in Queens
Mm-hmm.
just to have. I mean, not. I don't. I think it's probably sold out as it is anyhow.
Right.
But man, yeah, I just have this feeling. I mean, maybe it's not him. Maybe it's Adam Cole that comes out at the end. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Danielson is the type of guy that he just wants to have good matches, great matches
Mm-hmm.
with people. So a lot of amazing possibilities that can come out of this for sure.
Definitely. So the next match we have is another title match, and it's for the AEW tag team titles. We have the champions, the Young Bucks, versus the Lucha Bros.
Man, it doesn't seem like this one's really been built up for like any sort of feud other than the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they had that little mini tournament. I see the Bucks retaining. I'm waiting for that team that kind of steps up and has that, I hate to say blood feud, but they kind of
Mm-hmm.
have that personal vendetta. I don't think the Lucha Brothers are it. I'm sure it's going to be a match that's going to be off the charts. I mean, those two teams can just fly and go, but I definitely got the Bucks keeping it here.
Now, is there a team that you see, a tag team that you see in AEW that could possibly take the titles from the Young Bucks if the Lucha Bros don't take it on Sunday?
You know, we may have to go back to like the Dark Order once Hangman comes back, if they have that kind of redemption arc. But you just think of kind of who they've feuded with. You had your Kingston, Moxley's. I just don't see any team other than maybe the Dark Order. And honestly, and maybe it's Evil Uno and Grayson that take it, but I think it's just too hard to tell right now.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that Santana and Ortiz
Oh, geez.
could
Yes.
could take these titles away from them. Especially, like, I was talking to another friend of mine's yesterday, where I said, it'll be great if we can see them in Queens, battle the Young Bucks for the titles and actually
Yes.
win, because they're a New York homebound team, and the pop that will go off in Queens for them to win is.
Yeah.
It would be. I don't think it'll be like CM Punk big, but it'll be there.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I completely slipped my mind because they kind of been feuding with FTR. They
Mm-hmm.
did the little Inner Circle Pinnacle deal, which kind of has fizzled. But that team, super underrated. I mean, some of those matches they put on with the one with Best Friends in the parking lot. Yeah, those guys at any time can just blow up and be the top team. So I'm going to agree with you there.
Yeah. So the next match we have is another AEW title match. It is the Women's Championship match. It is the champion Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander.
Man, I tell you, if Baker wasn't the champion, Statlander, she's awesome. I mean, I've seen her a little bit out here before she got signed. She's been a great worker for years now. But yeah, Britt's just getting started. She's who she drops it to. I don't know if we've seen that. Maybe it's a heel that ends up turning face down the road, but I think Britt's in for a long run.
Yeah, I don't see her dropping the title anytime soon, unless they could really just build up Thunder Rosa a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she does have a strong following. She is like really good in ring. They just need to build her up as far as, like, I guess just like mic skills a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where Britt gets her on that point. Like, wrestling wise, I give it to Thunder Rosa.
Oh yeah.
Mic wise, I would give it to Britt Baker.
Definitely.
And for them to have like a feud will be great.
Oh yeah. Well, that
So,
no DQ match they had was insane.
oh yeah,
And Thunder Rosa's got charisma for days, but you're right. Like, she could be refined a little bit, and maybe it's someone new that debuts that takes her out, like maybe a Ruby Soho
oh
if she
yeah.
ends up making her way over there.
So we're gonna continue with the women, and we have the women's casino battle royal. Thunder Rosa's in this. You have Red Velvet in this. You have a surprise guest that's going to be in this. Jay Cargill's is also a part of this as well. Is there any women that have been listed that stands out to you that might end up winning this?
I mean, we talked about Thunder Rosa. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it's time to get her back in the mix, because I think she could be the one to dethrone her down the road. But
Mm-hmm.
I just talked about Ruby Soho. I mean, watching some of those videos, it's certainly been produced by someone that knows what they're doing.
Oh
So
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one that's the surprise entrant and takes the whole match. I don't see her winning the title from Britt Baker, but I think that could be a hell of a feud.
Oh yeah. Especially that she's just so good. Like I said with Thunder Rosa, as far as like in ring, Ruby has like that in ring presence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not really fond of her mic skills wise, but
Mm-hmm.
but as far as like ring ability,
Yeah,
it's there. You know.
definitely.
So the next match we have Miro versus Eddie Kingston for the TNT title.
It's going to be stiff. It's
Oh
going to be
yes.
super stiff.
Anybody that knows Eddie Kingston knows this is going to be one of the hardest matches that these two guys are just going to go blow for blow with each other.
So are you a big Kingston fan since you're on the New York
Yeah.
dude? Now you mentioned he hadn't seen much of Punk before. I didn't really see much of Kingston uh, really before AEW, and my
Hmm.
God, did that guy just grab me right away? I mean, how it's a crime that he's been hidden for so long, but I I don't see any way he beats Miro. I think Miro's the work he's doing is just out of control. This whole Redeemer thing, my hot wife, I'm dying on the couch every night watching him do that. I feel like he eventually loses in some fluke manner, maybe, and he
Hmm.
moves up to go after the main title. But I'm just excited to see them beat the living shit out of each other.
Yeah, I'm loving this new Miro. I didn't like the way he came out the first time, being the whole video game thing and like
Mm-hmm.
the best man. I just felt like that particular part was just sending him back
Yeah.
to like his WWE days. It was just like, okay, are we gonna have Rusev Day all over again, or like, are you gonna be serious? And then when he ventured off of that and have this new character that he's dealing with now, it's so much better.
Oh,
And that's why
millions of
like you have to keep the title on this guy.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he's gonna make someone famous when he drops it. But my gosh, yeah, he's been firing all gears.
yeah. So the next one we have Pac versus Andrade.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, to me, that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest toss up. I mean, you see Andrade trying to get Lucha Brothers to kind of join him. That,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say, if they weren't in the title match and for the tag titles, I would say they could cost Pac the match in turn. I don't know if they're gonna make a second appearance in the show or not, but I think with the fact that Andrade's still kind of new, he's only had a few matches under his belt. Again, I think if they bring in Ric Flair, who knows who else is going to come along to be by his side. I think they got something in him, and the guy
Mm-hmm.
can talk on the mic. I mean, he's not as bad as people make him out to me, but I think he goes over here just simply because he's new and they got to build him up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. I don't really see like does Pac really need the win, or does he just continue to move on with AEW and keep moving up the ranks?
Right. Well, and that's the thing with this roster. I mean, these are guys that aren't even near a title, and it just goes to show you how stacked the roster is.
Oh yeah. So we have another match here. We're going to continue on. We have Chris Jericho versus MJF. If Chris Jericho loses, that is done. He is done with AEW. He goes to be a commentator, like Paul White and Mark Henry.
Yeah, man. I mean, you really gonna lose 4 times to him? I feel like it's been so much telegraphed for him to lose by talking about going to commentary. He's been doing commentary. But man, this is a really hard one. My gut's gonna say, just because I feel like if he's going to be done or semi-retired, I feel like it's got to be built up more. So I'm going to say he wins somehow, and this just sends MJF down a hole of anger.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. I don't really think that Tony Khan will let Chris Jericho lose unless Chris Jericho has so much power where he's just gonna say no, I'll lose and I'll stay in commentary, and that's it. I'm done. I don't see this being Chris's last match, and not this way.
Right. No. Agreed.
So let's see, who else do we have here? We have Moxley versus Kojita. Who do you have?
So I know the rumor was that they wanted Moxley to face, I think it was Tanahashi down the road. And apparently that is still, at least from what I read, it's still kind of in the works. So it looks like they're doing this thing where Moxley's going to try to go through the Japanese rosters and call him out, which I think is pretty sweet. So I think he takes this one and maybe, downs another guy from Japan before he gets the guy he really wants at the end. I'm going to go with Moxley.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. I don't really see Moxley losing. He's just going to keep building momentum. I mean, he's becoming a really big star with this company.
Yeah.
Even though, he just had a baby and he just maybe took a month off and then he came right back to work.
Yeah. Again, stacked roster. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Next match we have Paul White versus QT Marshall. I don't know why they're making this match. I guess it's in Paul's contract that he needs at least one pay-per-view to wrestle in, and they just decided to give him All Out.
Yeah, he probably need a bathroom break between the semi-main and the main. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'll be aside from the entrances and the pandering to the crowd, maybe 5-10 minutes. But I mean, yeah, I don't think we're gonna any chance that Paul doesn't win.
yeah, exactly. I see this being a really quick match. This is something that's just okay, if you're gonna go to the bathroom, do it now because the rest of the match is gonna be amazing. You don't want to miss anything.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So we have the last match here, which I'm assuming this is gonna be the main event, and
I don't think so.
Really.
I don't think so.
I think they might give him the main event this time, but just because it's in Chicago.
I mean, he opened Rampage. He hasn't really closed anything out yet, at least from the live event. So, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the main event. I honestly think they're going to go with the title, but I don't know if I don't think they've never always closed with the title. But anyway, main event.
CM Punk, Darby Allin. I know you told me off the air that you have Darby Allin, but you have to say CM Punk. So
yeah, no, I mean this could go a few different ways because again, you look at some of these guys that are veterans, they don't mind helping someone else along, but I'm gonna go with Punk wins via Anaconda Vice submission. Darby passes out, turns heel on Sting the next night, and has a feud with Punk for a couple more matches.
Really? And that's how we're going to get, because this hasn't really built into no type of storyline to me.
No.
It was just I want to face Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Darby hasn't said anything at all. There hasn't been no back and forth. We've only seen CM Punk come out to, address the fans. I thought that they were going to go a different route with CM Punk and have him feud with MJF. That would have been For me, it would have been a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
But they decided to go with Darby. I would love to talk to Tony Khan one day and be like, I think that would be like one of the first things that I would ask is like, why did you put CM Punk versus Darby Allin?
Yeah, I think it was someone that could, I think that's someone that he could work with where even if he's rusty,
Mm-hmm.
Darby just makes everything look like a car crash. So, yeah, it's definitely a surprising pick. But I mean, we'll get MJF at some point. You know for sure the promo battles between those two is going to just be epic.
Yeah. So before I let you go, I just want to get your takes on stuff because I know you watch AEW. Do you still watch WWE or are you just strictly AEW?
Honestly, I probably haven't watched much of WWE in like almost 2 years. I mean, I've just been so disenchanted and so disillusioned with it. Now, I still follow all the news sites and read all the updates just in case something good happens. But yeah, that's unfortunately it just is really taking a lot out of me.
What is it going to take for you to like go back to WWE?
Honestly, everyone says get rid of Vince, and I think it's going to have to take a new leader in charge. To be honest with you, whether it's Triple H, he did some great things with NXT. I was watching that until they kind of mucked it up, but honestly, I think it's going to take Triple H and some folks like that kind of getting a younger injection of blood into that product.
Yeah, I want to see what's going to happen with NXT now that they have like a whole new look supposedly that they're going to come out with this month to for the fans to see. So I'm hoping that we can still get the old NXT, but I don't see that happening, especially now with reports coming in today that Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon are going to be taking over NXT, which is, I'm sorry, it's like the end of a really good era with NXT, and we're just gonna go right back to flipping car tires and getting jugs of beer. Like when we used to see with Titus, and it's just horrible.
Well, you gotta wonder if they're trying to recreate what they did 20 some years ago when they had like Batista, Orton, Cena, Brock, Shelton. They had that class in Ohio Valley. Those guys have gone on to pretty much be megastars. I think that's what they're looking for, and I can't say I blame them. I mean, to be honest, after Cena, who's been that crossover star? Reigns they're trying with, but
yeah.
It's been 20 years since they've created a mainstream megastar.
Yeah, let's see what happens. But Frank, thank you for stopping by. Like I said, I will be in Chicago this weekend, so hopefully, if you're in the building, you have my number. I have your number. We'll text each other
Definitely.
and link up. Grab a beer and a photo. Yes, and enjoy the show. Frank, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Kenny. Have a good one.
You too. All right. Well, that was Frank. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Frank is a really good chat offline when I was speaking to him, and I wanted to get him on the show just to chat a little bit more about AEW and what was expected over the weekend. So I still have a couple more things I need to talk about here. There are reports that WWE is going to be unveiling the Queen of the Ring. This is as a tournament is supposed to be starting in October and ending for Crown Jewel, where one winner is going to be crowned Queen of the Ring. Charlotte Flair has been vocal on interviews stating that whoever wins Queen of the Ring should face her. Do I think they need to face her? I don't really think so, but we all know that Charlotte is the queen of wrestling, so it only fits that she will hold that title. Paige made some talk over the weekend and stating that she was ready to come back into in-ring action, but just not quite yet. She has that feeling buy, sell, trade toys in the house. Oh, let's go. Listen, if you're looking for wrestling figures, we're going to take a little time out here from the rumors and news. If you're looking for wrestling figures at a decent rate and you're looking for somebody to ship it to you the way you always want it to be shipped, go see Buy, Sell, Trade Toys. They are one of the best retail figure stores right next to Ringside, but they outbeat Ringside's prices, and you cannot beat the way this guy ships every single figure, wraps it up just like a baby, and makes sure that your package arrives to you not only in a fast time but in a safe way as well. So guys, check out Buy Sell Trade Toys. You can find them on Instagram. Let them know that the call up sent you. If you use the code word the call up, that will save you 10% on your order. So back to Paige. Paige wants to come back to wrestling. Obviously, she's seen with the success with Daniel Bryan and Edge, all coming back from neck injuries, that she's decided that she wants to make a comeback now. She made some comments on her Twitch stream saying that it is going to be a long road for her to come back. And when she does return back, fans won't know. It will be a big surprise. It will be a big pop like the way CM Punk was. Me personally, I cannot wait to see Paige back inside of a ring. I was fortunate enough to see her in her last match before she had to retire. So just to see her again, I would love to be in the building, whether or not it is for the surprise or for her first match. Moving right along here, because I know a lot of people want to see Dynamite, and I'm gladly that you guys are here listening to me talk. I had an interview a couple of days ago with Justin Credible. He's one of the ECW legends. We talked a little bit about today's wrestling and also ECW and WWF back in the day. So I have this here for you guys. I'm going to play this. ECW Hardcore Legends and Justin Credible. Justin, what's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. I'm hanging in there, doing well, trying to get back on the road, slowly getting over the pandemic and some of the restrictions. So hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. I can't complain. How are you?
I'm good. The same thing. Just trying to get over the whole pandemic, era that we had. I know we still going through it right now, right, as far as going back to masks and everything else. But it's just good to see that we could still maybe go outside, go to restaurants, and hang out with friends and actually travel, which is a really big thing for a lot of people because people just don't want to stay home.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. Where are you from?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. You're not too far from me. I'm from Connecticut, and tonight, as a matter of fact, as we're recording this at around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard on Saturday. I have a show tonight in Massachusetts, up near Springfield. Nice. It's an outdoor show, so we'll follow all the COVID protocols. But it is nice to kind of get back to some sort of pro wrestling too, because without fans in the buildings, it's been hard. And it's actually nice, as you could see, on Dynamite, Rampage, SmackDown, Raw, how much the fans really do help the product. They're almost like another, they're almost like talent, in a way, because they bring those shows alive. So it's hopefully we can get back to some sort of normalcy in the next 6 months or so. Hopefully things will cooperate with this pandemic. We'll see.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of the talent say, is that they miss the fans so much. I mean, we miss going to live events and even going to indie events. We just missed seeing that that live action of we were so grateful to have wrestling still around through the pandemic when a lot of other sports were pretty much just sidelined. Wrestling was our outlet still. So, as a wrestling fan, I was really grateful to still have that outlet to, take my mind away from the craziness that was going on in the world for maybe an hour or two, depending on the show that you watch. And now that we have wrestling every single night, sometimes it's a little overload for certain people, but if you're a really good diehard fan, then you're okay, it's just another day and another product.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's amazing, and I always said this with ECW. the fans were so vocal. Paul Heyman always said the fans were almost like a part of our show. Really, they were like, in basketball, we'd always talk about the sixth man coming off the bench. The fans are that to professional wrestling, and they really do help bring it to storylines. Whether it's an injury angle or just two people hating on each other, it brings the drama, and it's so necessary. I mean, even though with what did they call the Thunderdome? That was a fantastic job on the WWE's part. Don't get me wrong, but still, it's like once you get it the way it was meant to be seen in front of a live audience of wrestling fans, it's just you realize how important the fans are front and center.
Definitely. So I wanted to touch base with you because you're like, growing up, I used to watch ECW all the time. And I was a really big fan of it. My dad had introduced me to ECW when I was younger, and he was just like, you have to sit down and watch this. And then once I started to get older now, I started doing my research on a lot of things. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like your WWF days. When you first started off, you played the character Aldo Montoya. So, like, who came up with that gimmick?
I was brought. This character was brought to me. Long story, real short. I was a jobber for the first year and a half of my life career in the WWE. And I live in Connecticut, which, if you know, you're a Brooklyn guy. The office is in Stamford, exit 9 right off of I-95. So I live about 45 minutes from the actual headquarters of the WWE. So we're talking 1994. I was doing jobs as an extra, whatever people call it these days. And they wanted me to go in and work with Brian Lee, a.k.a. the fake Undertaker, and Mark Calloway, the real Undertaker. I guess that time, the whole time they wanted to bring a fake Undertaker to work with the real Undertaker, so they wanted Brian to kind of mimic Mark's moves as the character of the Undertaker. So we worked all week. I was more or less the crash test dummy for Brian Lee and Undertaker to kind of get the moves down right. So Friday comes, it's a dress rehearsal. The only people there are Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, who was the head booker, aka writer, whatever you call him these days, and Mark, the Undertaker. So it's three people, and then myself and Brian Lee. So total 5 people in the room. So you could argue some of the most powerful people in the entire world of pro wrestling. We do this. It's a squash match that they're going to, put on Raw the following Monday. We were a complete dress rehearsal. Brian Lee had the Undertaker makeup, the suit, the everything. I had my wrestling tights. So we rolled through it. Everything looks fine. Vince and Mark and Brian, they're kind of off to the side talking about it. Well, my job's done, I figured. I started taking off my shit. Pat Patterson, who I respect and think he's one of the greatest of all time, he comes up to me and he starts asking me questions about who trained me. And I said, well, the Harts trained me. He goes, oh, wow, that's great. Brett and Owen worked there and all that. And the Harts, obviously, a very famous wrestling family. More questions. He goes, what nationality are you? I said, oh, I'm Portuguese. He really started to kind of gain interest and kind of popped a little bit inside. And the last question, he goes, do you speak it? I go, yes, sir, I do. My family, my mom and dad are immigrants. Came here. I'm first generation, so I speak Portuguese fluently. He yells over to Vince. He said, hey, Vince, this kid here, he speaks Portuguese. Vince does the very good. Does the big pop. Long story short, they were looking for somebody to fill in a Portuguese character that was already drawn up for Aldo Montoya. I happened to be in the right place at the right time. Spoke the right language, Right. And from there, it kind of just snowballed.
Pretty much the rest was history with that.
Yeah, which was great because it helped me learn the business and work with some of the greatest of all time and make some good money.
Nice. So after that run that you had with the Aldo Montoya character, what happened after that?
Well, I mean, we're thinking I got the Aldo gimmick. I was 21. I just turned 21 years old. Very, very young. I'm a baby. And so this is now, fast forward, this is probably 1997. I'm starting to feel and realize that, I'm starting to get good, because I'm on the road wrestling 200 plus dates a year as Aldo. And even though Aldo's an underneath jobber character, I'm working with some of the best. I'm learning. I'm getting pretty good. So I'm starting to get frustrated, right? I want to take it to the next level, because I started to realize I'm better than a lot of the talent on the roster. I wanted an opportunity, but I knew to have an opportunity, I had to change gimmicks and a whole other thing. So, we're talking. They're kind of hesitant on it. Finally, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, they go and get the job with WCW. And that happened. There was a big uproar in WWE, and those were two of my good friends. I traveled with Scott, especially more Scott than anybody else. We were very close. And through us being friends, and me having some frustrations with the WWE, I went to Vince's office in Stamford, had a meeting, and I said, Vince, if you have nothing for me here, thank you for very much, but I would like my release, because Scott and Kevin had both said, look, you come over here, Bischoff, we'll get Bischoff, to get you a job. We'll bring you down to WCW. Of course, we do a whole different gimmick with you, because you can't do the Aldo thing, nor would I want to, but still a fresh start, right? So Vince says, absolutely not, pal. You have 1 year left on your contract. He goes, it's not that I have anything like, whatever. He goes, but I can't, it's a bad look for another one of my guys, especially the way the Monday Night Wars were starting to happen. I'm not going to let another one of my guys just go on over to WCW. Just looks bad. Yeah. He wasn't worried about me going over there and stealing ratings, but you know what I'm saying? Just the way
he just didn't want the whole thing to be like blow up in his face.
Right. So long story short, again, they send me to Memphis, Tennessee, to Jerry Lawler's territory, USWA, which was in a way WWE's NXT at the time.
Right.
Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett worked down there, Brian Christopher from Too Cool. That's where they all got started. And so they sent me down there to learn how to work as a heel. Then they were going to bring me back up in a couple months, and I would debut on Raw as a heel under a different character. So I'm down there, I'm working, everything's going fine. But the last day I'm supposed to be down there, a good friend of mine from the old WWE, who's now in ECW, Chris Candido, Tammy, Sonny, aka Sonny, Rob Van Dam, Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, Paul Heyman, the Sandman. They're down there doing the USWA ECW angle that they had done, the famous one that they had done in 1997, the King versus ECW. And I played a little part down there, just a house show thing. But I started to really understand, wow, this ECW thing has a lot of potential. I mean, I was hearing about it from the sheets, from Meltzer. The fans in Memphis completely support. Usually they support the Memphis wrestlers. By far, they were into Sabu and Van Dam. Something was happening in this small ECW. And I had talked to Candido, who I had known from Skip and Sonny in the early days. And Chris was like, bro, it's amazing here. Paul Heyman is awesome. He's paying us well. We all have kind of a little bit of creative control with what we do. He goes, man, I'm making good money. He goes, come down here. And I said, well, I still have, a year left on my contract with the WWE. And he's like, let Paul handle it. Paul handled it. And he got the rights to my WWE contract over to ECW. So instead of going to the rival WCW, Vince agreed with Paul to sign over the Aldo contract to ECW from 97 to 98. And that's when I started my run from there till the close of ECW as Justin Credible.
So how was the transition from the Aldo Montoya character into like the Justin Credible character that we fell in love with?
It was just the beginning of just being able to do what you always wanted to do. Like in WWE, it's very hard, and it's got to be really hard. Like you hear stories and you hear people talking about this guy sucks, but creative. Like they have nothing for him, and I don't think people. I mean, they know it, but I don't think they really understand how much you cannot do there. You could be the best wrestler in the world if you're not creatively booked right. You're going to look like a jabroni. You're going to look like a 2-minute, 3-minute mid-card squash jobber. That's the way it is. And that's what WWE has always done. In ECW, Paul Heyman gave you the tools to, hey, you go out there, there's a 10-minute match. I don't care what you do in the match. You guys go out there and rock the house. And this is who I want to go over. So basically, going over mattered sometimes, but it really wasn't the biggest thing. It was just go out there and have the best match possible. And then almost like the fans will choose who gets the push. So, I mean, just from the beginning, my first ever match in ECW was against Jerry Lynn on my 16th birthday in 1997. And I'll never forget it, man. We just went out there and we crushed it. And it was so effortless because it's like, just go out there and wrestle. You don't have to worry about times. You don't have to worry about somebody in the back saying, oh, you did my move, or you know what I mean, like all the stooges and politics. There was none of that. It's just like, go out there, wrestle as hard as you can, do as good as you can, and you'll get the rewards, right? And that's how it should be. To this day, I feel like that's how it should be. So ECW just always gave you that feeling of incentive. And if you go out there and you could have the best match, that's what they want. You're not told you can't. Where in WWE, you really were held back, and there was that glass ceiling. That's a real thing. CM Punk talked about it in his promos when he left. And that's real. That's not like a bitter guy talking trash. That's real, because you can only go so far as they will allow you. So ECW was just the perfect storm for not just me, the other misfits that went to WWE and didn't make it for whatever reason. Shane Douglas, they brought him in as Dean Douglas to the WWE, and it was a horrific time for him. And he's one of the ECW icons, one of the best ECW champions of all time. I mean, you could keep going on and on and on of how many people went to WWE and couldn't get over. And then in ECW, it was just like, it was just, I guess ECW was the thing where fans were starting to get smart. It's like the internet had just started to, there was .coms, but the .coms weren't social media. It was just like download a picture or a video clip that used to take like 10 hours, right? On dial-up and stuff.
Oh my God, I remember those days.
Yeah, it's not like it is today, but still you had the smart fans that kind of knew this is where it's headed. So as long as you could go out there and have those killer matches and really just be pure. I'm not trying to overplay it, but don't go out there and be a poser. Just go out there and have the best fucking match you could have. The fans will give you props. So that's what it became. We just went out there every night, not worried about politics, not worried about gimmicks or who's gonna look weak or not weak. We're gonna have the best match, and if it's not a 5-star match that could be at the Tokyo Dome, then we don't want to do it. That's how we thought. So you had a whole card, a whole roster of people doing that every night, whether it was Philly, New York City, at the Elks Lodge there in Queens, all over the country,
And that was one of the things that I loved about ECW is because everybody on the roster will give their 110% best, and the fans would give you guys so much love that you guys would feed off of it. There were times you'll see Tommy Dreamer going out to the crowd and just feeling the energy of the crowd. Someone like Sandman will sit there and feed off that energy. Rob Van Dam, Taz, I mean, the list goes on, and you can see the expressions on your faces when you're around the fans. And then that's why now we still gravitate to, ECWs, because we still, when we look at those, go back and we look at those videos, that energy is still there.
Yeah.
You know, did it feel? I mean, it was mostly. It felt like it was like a family environment. Oh, am I right when I say this? Like, how was a locker room back then when you guys were red hot?
Yes. Oh, very much so. It did. Yeah, absolutely. We understood that we had a unique opportunity to take wrestling and to really carve something out for ourselves, something that was different from anyone else, different than WCW, different than the WWE. And I was going to say this earlier, and I kind of veered off, but what happened in WCW and in the whole wrestling. I'll dial it back. 1996/97 was where wrestling really started to change. WWE had Duke the Dumpster Droese. They had Aldo Montoya. They had the guy with the TL Hopper. They had the Goon, the hockey player. They had really shitty gimmicks. And if you go to WCW, they had Kevin Sullivan, the Dungeon of Doom with the shark and all those horrible gimmicks, you know. Are you there? Hello?
Oh, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see your face.
No,
but they
cool.
had all those horrible gimmicks. And the whole thing was, I think ECW got to a time where we don't want this horrible, like these horrible gimmicks. We want straight up wrestling. We want a guy like Terry Funk, who is a classic, legendary wrestler who could come out there and just, you know, brawl and bleed and just give it his all at his age. A guy like Mick Foley, who, you know, this is right before he made it huge as Mankind. But when Mick came through as Cactus Jack and, you know, he's working with Terry in Japan, these were all guys right on the verge of greatness. And Paul understood that the fans wanted something a little more tangible and a little more serious. He didn't want that. The fans didn't want Doink or other corny gimmicks. They wanted that stuff. They wanted a guy like Steve Austin, right when he got fired from WCW, and he had that, you know, I don't know if it was 60 days or 90 days in ECW where he did all those crazy promos. That was really the beginning of the Stone Cold character.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it, you know, saying all that crazy shit and kind of losing his mind. So I think fans wanted a little more of that. And then when ECW noticed it and gave it to him, it started working for ECW, but then WWE noticed and said, okay, we're going to take that directly and turn it into the Attitude Era. And we can copy ECW and not even copy it, make it better, right? Because we got the money and we can get bigger names and bigger draws. So we could really, you know, put it out there into the stratosphere. And they did. And it was one of the most successful periods in pro wrestling history. You know, and the WWE, I mean, and you couldn't go anywhere without seeing an Austin 316 shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I had one when I was a
kid.
Great
period.
Yeah, definitely.
Great period. Everybody made money, dude. I was getting checks for $7,000-8,000 a week. You know, and not even knowing where they came from.
Right.
Like you would just get some itemization of shirts or you know, just DVDs you were on, and the money was just flowing because we were traveling all over the world, you know, and every continent you can imagine. So you're doing all these house shows abroad, making great money because fans overseas, especially, they are excited and they pay a lot more money, and there's a lot more of them. So you're just constantly hustling 200 plus days a year, and you're just, you know, you call home and your wife's like, oh, I got another check. And another check, and you're just saving.
She was happy
bread,
about that,
you know. And that don't last forever. But for 2 or 3 years, man, you're saving that bread. You know.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
What were your thoughts when WWE bought out ECW, and you had to go and you went back to WWE?
Well, I always say that. That really had become that almost 20-year period of wrestling dying, and not dying as you would think, because wrestling still became was very popular for a very long time. But as we knew it, at least from the boys, I'll say it from that perspective, in 2000, 2001, you had 3 companies. WWE, I think, employed maybe 200 full-time wrestlers at the time. ECW employed probably 70 full-time wrestlers at the time. And WCW around 150 with all the shows, Thunder, Nitro, all that stuff. So whatever the number is, let's just say for ballpark, you have 350 people between the 3 wrestling companies are full-time contracted pro wrestlers in America, right? There's 350 people. There's 350 jobs in America for pro wrestlers. Now, in the matter of months, Vince McMahon not only buys ECW, buys WCW. So all those 350 jobs that were all, $75,000, $100,000, maybe more per year jobs for young men and women, 100, 200 jobs. I'd say about 100, 150 of those jobs, perhaps probably half of those jobs got eliminated overnight. So, I mean, literally, you went from having 300 people having jobs to 150 people, good paying jobs. Now, everybody's like, what the fuck? There's this huge scramble. The business and landscape changed so dramatically. I was lucky to even have landed to get a job. I got very blessed. I signed right on JR, and I signed right on in April, I believe, April of 2001, for me to go do X Factor for the WWE, But it was scary, man, because literally you went from being on top, main eventing a pay-per-view like Sandman, like Rhino, and many others to I'm unemployed.
And it feels like that now with like all the cuts that like WWE is doing now, where recently they just let go about 15, stars, and some of them were top stars, in the company, and then a couple of months, before that they had let go a handful of people. So I think like in total it was like 50 something people that were just like out of work, had to sit at home. And, we don't want to go into the whole, like the start of the pandemic when those handful of people were gone too. So, when you say it's like a scramble and you're kind of like wondering whether or not, like, do I make the cut this month? Okay, it's April, I'm still here, it's just weird to me. And then you just hear about like, oh, we're making great numbers, but then there's still cuts.
Scary.
Yeah,
it's very scary, and especially like what you said, it's like the numbers are good from a financial standpoint, but you as an entertainer, there's nothing you can do to change. Look, the men and women that work for the WWE today are probably some of the hardest men and women that are in the business. They work really hard. They have to maintain their bodies, to maintain their wrestling ability. I mean, these guys and gals are top of the game, but they get fucked with so much. They have to be not only physically prepared, but mentally prepared. It's a hard game, dude. And when you start seeing cuts, and not only are you seeing cuts from guys like, two friends of mine, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, who got let go, who were there for a very long time. But then you got guys like Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. You start to really think, anybody can get cut at any time. So it almost makes you think, is going to the WWE the be all end all? I think now, with so many different opinions and the quote unquote forbidden door being open, dealing with New Japan, Impact, NWA, Mexico, AEW, Ring of Honor, MLW, is it not just better to perhaps globalize yourself, make yourself a star outside with all those other companies, instead of just saying, well, I'll go work for Vince and then, kind of roll the dice? I don't know anymore, because sure, it's great to be protected by Vince under a contract for a year, maybe 2, but at any time, and I think more and more guys and gals are starting to be like, fuck this, dude. I want to control my a little more of my, the way I'm perceived in the business, the way I'm used, the way I'm marketed. And I think more and more people can do it because of the landscape of the business. In AEW, for real, not just, blowing smoke. They've really helped, kind of validate all of this, that's been happening.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell like that's why a lot of people are like gravitating towards, AEW is because they're giving talent the opportunity to work other things that they wanted to. To an extent, I know there has to be some type of like clause to it that, that they're not really talking about it right now. And it might come to like a little bit later on, but they're still giving their talent some type of leeway to say like, okay, yes, you are under AEW, but if you want to go to New Japan, we can make that work as long as it works. It's beneficiary to them,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think they're just in a great place where nobody's saying no, really, because there's really no reason to say no. It's like, look, let's just get as many companies working with one another as we can. Let's get the best wrestlers, the best action. And through working with all of these people, I think at the end, you're going to get some really cool matches that you may not have even thought of, some dream matches, some cool scenarios. It's happening right now. And I think Kenny Omega, I'm not the biggest fan of Kenny Omega, but he's a very, very good professional wrestler, probably one of the best around doing it. It's not that I'm not a fan of. I'm just not a fan of a lot of times the presentation. I find as a performer, sometimes it comes off a bit goofy.
Right.
I'm more of the, I like the serious athlete, almost like a Nick Aldis or a Nature Boy Ric Flair. That's just me. For being like the belt collector, somebody that is doing so many great things in the business and kind of going out there and having all these titles. I think that's a great gimmick. It's great for business. But I don't know. Sometimes I think Kenny's weird with the facials and stuff. It's like he loses me as the cool guy, right? Because he's a good-looking kid, great physique, great wrestler. But sometimes he loses me. Like I can't personally connect.
Right.
Like I want to connect, but like I don't find much in common with him. Like as a fan, I'm really talking from a fan's perspective. But you know what I mean? Like there's some people like I could look at Darby Allin and be like, he looks kind of cool.
Right.
I could look at John Moxley and be like, I don't know him, but I'd like to have a beer with him.
Yeah.
And Kenny, it's like, I don't know.
You can't really call it.
Yeah, and again, I just think that's just maybe the Canadian thing. He's a bit dry in his presentation, but again, it's nothing wrong with his professional wrestling. I just think it's a little bit of character development. But anyways, that's picking. That's like really picking, small stuff. But yeah.
Oh man, but Justin, it's been great talking to you. I want to leave off with this. If you can tell yourself, your 15-year-old self, anything right now, what would it be?
Save your money. And I mean that. Because in wrestling, I made so much money. You never think it's going to end. So yeah, definitely save your money. You just never know. Like literally, like I was on top of the world like what I said, the story I said to you earlier. In 2001, I was coming off my world title run, going and doing X Factor. And then 6 months later, from having 3 full-time companies with pay-per-views and headlining one of them, now there's all those jobs shrank down to a very small percentage. And that happened and killed a lot of people's careers. And I think that's the cautionary tale. You never know whether it's your fault or the business in general. You never know. So save your money. Definitely. Enjoy it, though. Enjoy your life. Right. Enjoy the business. Enjoy it. Stop and smell the roses, because I've been to so many amazing continents all throughout the world, Japan, all throughout Europe, the Middle East. I went scuba diving with the Undertaker off the coast of the Black Sea. Really cool stuff in Kuwait. I got pictures I want to post someday soon. It's like I got pictures of me, Undertaker, and Triple H scuba diving that I'll put up on my Twitter sometime soon. They're really classic. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of fun times, great memories. So just go out there, stay safe, and do it, man.
I mean, if you have those, like a whole bunch of those, the way people are doing now is just they're putting it into a book.
Really?
I would probably say a lot of people would be interested in that. I know I would, to see a lot of those road pictures, and you can tell a story with each picture and be like, I know Chris Jericho did it with he just came out with a book with like all his matches and who he wrestled and the finish and what did they talk about. Wow. I mean, definitely look into that. It's something that a lot of people are doing nowadays.
I definitely will. It's so funny because so many things that I always thought were things to discard would have been worth something today. It's kind of funny, but I will look into that. It's pretty cool. Very cool. All right.
Well, Justin, thank you for stopping by,
yes,
and we will definitely be talking to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, that was my interview with Justin Credible, ECW legend. What a great guy. Man, we were hitting the hour. We went over the hour mark at this point. And I know everybody wants to see AEW Dynamite. So I'm going to end the show with finding out who the winner is of this Johnny Gargano Elite. I'm going to pull up the wheel here. And then we're going to get started. Hopefully everybody can see this. If not, I'm going to move this a little bit more just to have that a little bit there. You guys can see the winner. So everyone who participated in this is on this list here. I'm going to spin the wheel, and whoever it lands on, that will be the winner of the Johnny Gargano Elite. You guys have a whole entire week to claim the prize. If you are the winners, let me know. Leave a comment on this video here letting me know that you won, and then I will ship that right out to you. So without further ado, let's get started, and everybody good luck. Ho ho ho. All right, my girl Gigi won the Johnny Gargano Elite. Gigi, if you're watching this right now, if you go play back and watch it later, you know what to do. Leave a message down below of the video, and I'll gladly get that Johnny Gargano Elite out to you guys. Thank you so much for attending this again. Thank you so much for the people who have sat here and watched another episode. I will be back next Wednesday. Wednesday will be a little bit different. We're going to most likely talk about all AEW, talk about All Out. I am flying out tomorrow to All Out, so I would definitely have some videos, maybe some interviews to share with you guys. So stay tuned, guys. Until next time, peace.